Good morning and welcome to the Daily Ding here on the Athletic NBA Show. I'm Jared Weiss. I am joined by Keith Parrish. Dave Dufour is producing, and we're here to talk about one thing, and that is this crazy trade that happened right at the stroke of midnight, where the Boston Celtics are sending Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Celtics are getting Kristaps Porzingis from the Wizards, and then Tyus Jones is going to Washington, and then two firsts are going to Boston, and my head is exploding at this point. Keith, this is monumental. It really is.
Is that like a Monument Sports
That's
reference?
exactly what it is. Well,
Good,
any
good
one of
for
our listeners got that.
I wasn't
Yeah.
ready for that. I got out of bed for this, Jared.
So
No.
did I.
So this is, we had the setup earlier in the day. We're like, oh, Porzingis is going to the Celtics. That's kind of fun. Oh, a three-way deal with the Clippers, and then it falls apart. And then we have this race against the clock where they have to get the trade done because there's this opt-in deadline at midnight. And we're all like, what's going to happen? And so I covered the Grizzlies, and lo and behold, we get the little morsel of information. We never get the full meal. We never find out the entire picture. We get a little glimpse of a corner of the picture, and it's like, oh, the Grizzlies are involved. And so my head's just spinning like, what's it going to be from a Grizzlies perspective? I'm like, are we getting Gallinari and garbage? Are we getting, matching salary? What are we doing? And then I was stunned that Marcus Smart was involved. And then I was furthermore stunned, Jared, that the Grizzlies gave the Celtics 2 first-round picks so they could get Porzingis. I got a little confused there. I know the headline's Porzingis going to Boston. And I understand that the Grizzlies got a little defensive wing stopper they needed to replace Dylan Brooks. They got a little, instead of having a backup point guard who can't really play with Ja, you could play Marcus and Ja together. But I was confused how the Celtics, with their backs against the wall, trying to get this deal done at the stroke of midnight, also were able to squeeze a couple first round picks out of it.
It's amazing that they're replacing Dylan Brooks with kind of Dylan Brooks, which is truly spectacular. I think Smart's a lot better than Dylan Brooks.
That part is fun, yes.
Yeah, it's a similar flavor of ice cream, that's for sure. I mean, what's funny is the headline in Boston is probably going to be Marcus Smart leaves. Marcus Smart was in Boston for almost a decade. He was the heart and soul of this franchise. He was like the unofficial captain of this team. I think his number will probably be retired one day. Maybe we'll see. But it's so remarkable that the Celtics were able. Let's remember, it's not just like they're getting 2 first-round picks for nothing. They're also sending out the 35th pick, but still a pretty big jump there, especially because they have the Warriors pick next year. And the Warriors pick next year could potentially be like in the low 20s, even high teens. Probably not, but like it could certainly be.
Oh, I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think most NBA teams are probably saying that's like an 18 to 24 pick or something, So yeah, I think that's right.
But yeah, and so what's really interesting here is, do the Celtics make another move? Because now their point guard rotation is Derek White, who doesn't really run point, and then Malcolm Brogdon at the moment, who has an elbow injury that was apparently concerning for the Clippers, and that was a big part of a lot of the reporting that Shams Charania and I were working on throughout the day on The Athletic.
Sorry, Jared, was that shocking to you that the Clippers have concerns about players' injuries? I just thought they didn't care. I just thought like, well, whatever. You don't not gonna play? Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. No, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little surprising that Brogdon was all it took, considering he's coming off of an injury, but go figure. It's just crazy that the Celtics went from, we're getting rid of Brogdon, who is someone that they just brought into the organization last year. They knew that there was a chance they were just bringing him for 1 year. It was kind of a luxury for this team. So it's like, all right, we're going to get rid of him and bring in Porzingis, who was a fringe all-star last season. To go from that to getting rid of the guy that really defined your team for so long, and was also really at the core of both of their system on both ends at the floor. Like, their switching system worked on defense because Smart was able to kind of freelance and play free safety a lot of the game, and also could handle pretty much every matchup. And then on offense, they needed him to run point a lot. And they're losing both of those things. It makes sense that they're going for Porzingis. He's really damn good. And now they probably are starting this twin tower lineup with Porzingis and Rob Williams, which is going to be absolutely fascinating, considering Porzingis can play in the high post, he can shoot the ball, stuff like that. But like, the Celtics have completely reshaped the way that they are going to play as a team, just because they had to at the last second because of the Brogdon part of the deal falling apart.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things to me is like how you say is maybe the whiplash of Celtics fans, and I'm sure you can speak to this, Jared. Like, there's a big difference between the fist pumps of, hey, we're trading Malcolm Brogdon for Porzingis, as opposed to like the Marcus Smart for Porzingis. Suddenly you're like, oh, that cost was a little bit more. And so, yeah, I think it's an interesting, it's such an interesting change to like the fabric of this Celtics team. It's been so good for a really long time. And yes, Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the guys, and now Horford. And now you have this Twin Towers thing with Horford and Porzingis, which is intriguing and cool and should have some maybe really good rim protection. But like losing maybe the straw that stirred the drink in Marcus Smart, like if you lose that playmaking, I mean, you said like the point guard rotation is a question. Is it free Peyton Pritchard time? Does he finally get a chance to dribble the basketball? Like
even if he does, it's not good enough. Like they need a better point guard on this team. Unless Brogdon's like fully healthy, then yeah, you could run him at point. That works. But what Marcus Smart did well for this team offensively was, besides that he was always willing to take the shot for better or for worse when they needed it, he also was good at running pick and roll, getting into the middle of the defense, and then slowing down and making reads. And he did that in a way that nobody else on this team was able to do. And they really relied on him at times to do that. And then also just the edge stuff. Like he just played with an edge. He was able to get to loose balls, all that kind of stuff. He was the leader that whenever that they were struggling, he's like, we can't get bored with the little things. Like he kept his team on the rails. He also knocked it off the rails at time, but he kept his team on the rails for years. And now you're replacing a Porzingis who, like, he talked to people around the league. The locker room intel stuff is not, it's not good at all with Porzingis. Like there's a massive leadership gap that they just put in. And now they're counting on the Jays to fill that. Al Horford, who's kind of on the way out to fill. It's like, I don't know. They need some other move here, clearly.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Jared. Who has a higher field goal percentage over the past 3 seasons? Marcus Smart or Dillon Brooks?
I mean, it's got to be Dillon Brooks, right?
It's very, very close. Within 1/10 of a percentage point. Dillon Brooks 41.2% from the field. Marcus Smart 41.1%.
Wow.
Marcus Smart has him on 3-point percentage. Over the past 3 seasons, Marcus Smart 33.2% on threes. Dillon Brooks 33.0%. I'm going to call that a push. It's wild.
So, I mean, what do you think this does for Memphis, considering Ja presumably will fulfill whatever requirements there are and come back mid-season?
Well, I think when Ja's out, it's I think it's a boost. I like it. I know Tyus Jones is a great fill-in starter, but I'm more excited about that dynamic backcourt of Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart with Luke Kennard coming off the bench. Will they start and or close games with like Bane, Kennard, and Smart while Ja is suspended? I would think so, yes, and that's tantalizing and interesting. Now, the real question is, and I know specifically from my Grizzlies vantage point, the real question is, all right, when Ja comes back, yeah, we love having the extra playmaking. We love having a backup point who can play alongside Ja pretty well. They've now picked up, or they've replaced the wing defender they lost in Dillon Brooks. Can he play like can you play a 1-2-3 of Ja, Desmond, and Marcus, who I believe are 3 players shorter than I am? Like that isn't your typical NBA height on the perimeter. So I don't know. And I do know Grizzlies fans had been circling this offseason and last offseason. It's like, hey, are we finally going to trade some picks and bring in a starting small forward? Because we feel like we need it. We've always like, oh, last year it was like we gotta upgrade Dillon Brooks if we want to win a title. And now it's like, oh, Dillon Brooks is gone. Well, now we really got to upgrade something there. Are we finally going to get involved with these OG Anunoby rumors or whoever else? We're going to trade some picks. And so they finally traded picks. And it's like, oh, Marcus Smart, he does fill a lot of needs, but it doesn't fill the main need we were talking about, which is a small forward. So I guess the big question is going to be, are the Grizzlies done moving? Which is a hilarious thing to say the night before the draft. But like, you know, what comes next for the Grizzlies if they aren't able to pull off any other big moves? Are we going to go into the season with like Ja and Desmond Bane with Marcus Smart, kind of like a 1-2-3 with Jaren, and then if it's Steven Adams in the front court? I mean, I'll be real. It sounds awesome. There's a lot to like there. But certainly you would wonder who's going to guard the Jason Tatums of the world and the Kevin Durant's and the LeBron Jameses, you know, the big wings. So it's a question mark for the Grizzlies. And again, I circle back to the why did we help the Celtics? It feels like we helped the Celtics. I mean, maybe this is our dream. Hey, let's shake him down for Marcus Smart. Let's rip the heart and soul of the Celtics team away. So they get Porzingis, but it still feels, I don't know. Maybe it's just a fair price because the 25th pick, who knows what that's going to be, and then next year Warriors pick might not be that sexy. Can we talk about the Wizards? I mean, what did
this is the worst rebuild I've ever seen in basketball history. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but they just traded away 2 All-Star caliber players, and the only future asset that they got they got like a couple seconds, and then a 27-year-old point guard. It's mind blowing.
I am super sympathetic to like they just got off Bradley Beal. That's a win. I don't feel like just getting off Kristaps Porzingis is a win. I know they didn't want to sign him to an extension, and there's a lot of talk about, and it's going to shake out. We're going to figure out what the Celtics do. He opted into his deal. Do they then extend him to a salary that then becomes like, whoa, that is cumbersome?
But I don't know for sure, but a big part of this was agreeing to an extension that'll be a 2-year, $77 million extension. That's probably going to happen, I think, after the moratorium in July.
Yeah. And so for their troubles of allowing or facilitating this trade, they got the 35th pick, which is like, what do those cost, Jared? $2 million, $4 million? What's the going rate on the 35th pick? It's not.
Maybe they're planning to go over the double apron somehow this year, so they won't be able to buy a second pick.
And they pick up Tyus Jones, who's like the world's best non-starting point guard, maybe. Although honestly, he's gonna have to fight it out with like the 2 other world's maybe best non-starting point guards. They have Monte Morris, DeLon Wright, and Tyus Jones, who, I'll be real, Jared, those are the same guy. Those are all the same. Like Monte Morris and Tyus Jones will never turn the basketball over. It's going to be awesome. But it's like this weird point guard by committee. I know there've been like rumors and reports out there that Grizzlies wanted to send Tyus Jones to a team where he could start. It's like, oh, congratulations, buddy. Your first job is with 2 other guys who also want to start. And oh, by the way, your ownership does not want to compete. Like teardowns are one thing. If you bring stuff in, like, oh, we got these picks, we're selling off our stuff for picks, and now we're going to tank it out, to just be like, hey, we're going to tank it out. We're going to pick up some second rounders and tank it out. That's a weird way to go about it. I mean, again, maybe the Wizards have a great master plan that I can't see right now, but it just seems like, I don't know. I don't understand like how this is better than just having Kristaps Porzingis. Like, could you not, like, what is he, if he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, how does this hurt you? Like if he signs somewhere else, like who's going to make someone with cap space sign him? Look at the cap space teams. It's not normally the teams who are going to chase down Porzingis. I mean, maybe the Rockets would to pair with Jabari Smith. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like he's not going to the Spurs, I don't think. So this is again where maybe it's my limited knowledge of what NBA front offices know. But like if you're the Wizards and you're like, okay, opt in, we'll try to trade you later. Maybe you don't get anything, and then he leaves later. But like doing this all for the 35th pick, and I guess Tyus Jones, who's on an expiring deal. I mean, are they going to reroute Tyus Jones somewhere for like the 47th pick? I mean, like I don't know. I don't know what the end game is. Like clearing your books is one thing, but also like, hey, go win some basketball games. I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, you got to tank it out. All right, listen, that can happen. You can end up in the lottery with 27 wins. Like you don't have to just get rid of everybody, especially when like it seems like maybe there could have been a better deal at some time. Maybe for the Bradley Beal situation, this was the only time they were ever feeling like they were going to get off what they thought was this massive albatross of a contract. I mean, everyone thinks that, like, except for, I guess, Matt Ishbia and the Suns. But like the Porzingis deal is weirder to me, where it's like, if he's an unrestricted free agent, okay, fine. Make him do that. If he wants to opt in, maybe try later, because they really got, like, it seemed like maybe one of the Grizzlies picks would go to the Wizards. Like, why did the Celtics get?
Yeah, so
both like that part's confusing to me. So maybe I'm not actually that good at the trade machine when I'm doing my fake three-way trades, because I don't get as much.
Let's be clear here. So the Wizards gave up the best player in this trade, and then of the 3 main players in the trade, got the worst one, arguably, and then 2 first-round picks got added into this deal after it fell apart with the Clippers, and somehow both of them went to Boston, who's also getting the best player in this trade. incomprehensible.
That part,
I don't understand
I'm a
how,
little
because
confused, but honestly, it's a little late. So
you can open up cap space. That's a viable way to do it. Do the OKC thing. You got to get picks. They didn't get a single first round pick. They traded away 2 all-stars in their prime and didn't get a single first round pick.
We can pump the brakes there, Jared. I mean, not
two 20+ point scorers who are really good players.
Yeah,
who
they're
are
good players.
Fringe all-stars at this point.
This is where we get weird, and this is where the immoral NBA incentivizing losing thing comes into play. Like, if it's better for your franchises to just not sign their good players to hope they get a 12% chance at like the top 1 pick, it's still messed up. So like, I don't know. I'm a little confused. Like, if you're a Wizards fan, are you happy right now? Like, what are you hoping for? Are you going to sign Kuzma? Is this Kuzma and Kispert and Tyus Jones next year? I mean, I don't know what the plan is.
We got to wrap in a sec, but really funny thing, I'm sorry, I forget who reported it, but I saw somebody reporting that Kuz expects to get 30 million plus. So it'd be really funny if after all of these contract clearing moves, they end up just doing the same fucking thing and giving out 30 plus $1 million to another player who is not really an all-star.
Yeah, I mean, basically the NBA rules say you have to pay somebody. So hey,
yeah, they got to reach the floor.
Yeah, you gotta hit this floor, which, you know, even the new CBA, you got to do 90% of it or whatever. Like, they got to pay somebody, and so maybe Kuzma's the lucky guy here. Yeah, I'm a little confused with what I'm sympathetic to what they did with Bradley Beal. The Porzingis deal, the way this worked out, I'm still confused. But again, it's been an hour of thinking about it. Maybe with the morning will come clarity.
No, there won't be any clarity. All right, we just yelled at each other for 20 minutes over Marcus Smart and Kristaps Porzingis and Tyus Jones getting traded. What a day! Also perfect that we are the pairing. Consider I covered the Celtics, you often cover the Grizzlies, and Dave Dufour has a nice beard, which I guess is wizard like. So that is going to do it for us here on the Ding. I can't believe that we're talking about Marcus Smart getting traded, and then Kristaps and 2 first-round picks go into Boston. Absolute insane start to the draft week. We'll see you next time here on the Ding.
Ding ding.